You start pretending to have fun, you might even have a little by accident. Welcome to Primary Technology, the show about the tech news that matters. We're here live at WWDC in the Apple Park podcast studio. We're going to go through all the announcements, and it's great because this is a well-considered take, not just a hot take, because I've been playing with all the betas. Jason's got the betas on there, so let's get right into it. This episode is brought to you by NordLayer, Keeper, MacPaw, and you, the members who support us directly. One of your hosts, Stephen Robles, joined, as always, by my friend Jason Aiton. How's it going, Jason?
I'm good. This is fun.
Good. This is fun. Today's quote was brought to you by Siri AI. Do you know what movie that's from?
Well, I don't remember any movie where Siri AI says stuff. I think it was
it is not.
From what was Pennyworth? I don't know which one. Batman Begins, maybe?
You nailed it. Yes, you nailed it again for our Dub episode. That was Batman Begins. I'm going to be showing several Siri AI conversations because, spoiler, it's actually pretty good. But yeah, they actually got that quote from Siri AI. So real quick, 5-star reviews. JD Stores from the USA updated their review to 5 stars. Thank you for that. Mendoza from Australia, inspired by crazy stories of vibe coding and tried it themselves. We're going to talk about some vibe coding and vibe extensions in a minute. But Jason, we're here. We did it. How many devices are running the beta for you? Tell me.
Well, technically you're there and I'm here, but that's cool. I have 3 devices right now running the beta: an iPhone Air, a MacBook Neo, and the Vision Pro. So I've been playing around with all of the 27s.
Same. I will say Vision, you're doing your M5 Vision Pro, right? With
Yes.
the beta? I will say even my M2 Vision Pro, I updated it straight to the beta. Much better experience, which is kind of the theme of the keynote and the event. We're going to talk about some of the improvements that Apple has done, but Wi-Fi connected faster. The Vision Pro just in general felt faster. And I'm bullish. I'm optimistic about the improvements. You know
I'm just gonna say on my Vision Pro, I'm so glad that I've been taking panoramic photos, because I took a panoramic photo in 2014 of Comerica Park at a Tigers game, and it is now my environment that I work in, and it is amazing that you can now do that.
That is the best feature in the new Vision OS. I actually took a panoramic the morning of the keynote, looking out into the ring, just during the breakfast area. Which last year I did not make it up to the media breakfast. I didn't realize I missed that whole thing. I was on the first floor, which I guess is like developer breakfast. So I actually made it up to the 3rd floor and did a panoramic and made that into an environment in Vision Pro, and it is incredible. And so now I wish I had taken more panoramas for years, but I will be starting right now.
Yep.
Because it's impressive, because it's not just, there was the feature where you can expand a panoramic in Vision Pro and look around a little bit, but this makes it a spatial scene and then an environment. And in my panoramic of Apple Park, you could look down and see picnic tables and the depth of those versus the rainbow stage in the distance. I mean, it's truly impressive. It was fun.
Agreed.
What's your favorite personal panoramic environment?
Personal? Do you mean of
your
my
panoramas?
Own?
Yeah.
Well, the Comerica Park is pretty cool. Also, I have a bunch of panoramas when we went to Alaska 4 or 5 years ago, and those are just incredible. It's basically the things that Apple has already put in there as panoramas, only they're places I've been. Right?
Right, exactly.
It's awesome.
Side note, I learned yesterday you can have 34 total environments from your panorama images.
34. Okay. I think I have 17 I put in there. I just all the good panoramas I put in there, and I just started, it's great.
Someone actually said that number yesterday, so in case you're not. So I thought we could break down all the announcements into 3, and I've been playing with them with several days. The system improvements. I think there's some hidden agents and foldable hints in some of the features, Siri AI, and then the parental controls I want to cover at the end, because it's actually pretty significant. We both use screen time and parental controls a lot. But I thought it was interesting, the keynote, last night I stripped all silences from the keynote, and if you remove the intro and outro music, it's an hour and 2 minutes. So you remove all the pauses waiting for Siri AI to do a response, and 1 hour, 2 minutes flat, just from people talking. And it was a very different keynote, obviously. People have talked about this, but rather than go platform by platform, it was very much, here's everything coming to everything. And we're just going to talk about all the devices throughout. Nothing, little specific things here and there. So I don't know. How did that feel to you when you were watching?
When was the moment you realized it was going to be a very different keynote? Because for me, it was the moment where Craig Federighi was like, we know you all just wanted the name. So I don't know what the name is, but I have a note. I'm like, hold on. This is going to be very different.
The Volkswagen bus was hilarious. I thought he was really being serious about they're not going to name macOS anymore, because I remember I heard the ATB guys talking about that, maybe they won't do this forever. And so I was like, oh no, this is the year. But no, sure enough, we got Golden Gate as the year. I think when it was a little farther in, when they spent more than 10 minutes on the parental controls. I was like, this is very different. I've never heard this much about screen time in a keynote. But I was thankful for it, and I got more details about that too. Also, it felt like this was the year of Apple is embracing like vibe coding. I mean, obviously, describe a shortcut, which we can get into some details later. It's basically like vibe coding a shortcut. There's the incredible new feature about creating an extension, just like a personal Safari extension, just by describing it. And I put it in a video I published just this morning. Like I asked it for an extension that tells me the image resolution of something on a website when I tap it. And the extension just works. And that was on my phone. That wasn't even on my Mac. And there's agents in like passwords, which can like change your passwords if it's compromised without you even going to the website. So it just feels like there's so much adoption of like vibe coding feeling things and agents. And I wanted to share one picture I'm allowed to share this, I'm pretty sure, in a briefing.
We're going to find out real soon if you're allowed to share it.
As I'm going to be rushed at the stage. All 18 people in this room are just going to tackle me. But there was a kind of an AI area where they showed off AI and different things. They had the Draw Things app. They had shortcuts, but LM Studio, the makers of LM Studio, which is a Mac app that allows you to use local models, they had this set up at this table, 4 Mac Studios maxed out, so like 500 gigabytes of unified memory each, which I don't think they even sell that Mac Studio anymore because it's, constraints. But this thing had 2 terabytes of unified memory collectively. They had them in not a RAID, but you know what I mean, all collective talking to each other, a node.
Yep.
And they were just showing off local LLMs doing things like coding and annotating images and doing all these things locally and models using models. It felt very much like Apple is embracing this. And I thought back to like 2 or 3 years ago, it was rare to hear Apple say AI in general. Everything was machine learning, maybe LLM, but AI wasn't anything until Apple Intelligence, and then that's what it stood for. But now it's very much, Siri, literally the name is AI. So I don't know, did you get that vibe too?
Well, yes. I think also this is a thing we know that these LLMs are good at, right? They are good at coding and they are good at that sort of thing. I'll be real interested in like after you've had more time to play with the shortcuts, what those limitations are, because they're not like they don't know all of the possible things. Like I remember listening to Vitici talk about how he built whatever thing he built, like the CTL for shortcuts or whatever he did. Like he had to like spend all of that time just trying things and then reinforcement learning and then figuring out where the edges are. So I'll be interested like in what you think about that. But yeah, this is the thing that they're good at. And along with that, they make those features more accessible to more people, because the number, like no one that I know except for you, like you bring the average way up because no one I know does shortcuts at all. But if I count you, everyone I know does a million shortcuts because you do like a trillion. But most people don't. And the reason is it requires them to get their brain into a frame of mind of like, yeah, I know I want to do a thing and maybe my phone could do it, but I don't know where to start. Being able to start by typing the words into the thing, like that's a huge win.
Yeah, and that was rumored. It came true. A bunch of people on social media were like, oh no, do you have a job anymore? I think this is more exciting because, one, it's going to open up shortcuts to way more people. People who are intimidated at first, who didn't know anything about building a shortcut, they're going to try it for the first time. And then if it does it even close to good, they're going to want to know more. They're going to want more shortcuts. So I think it's good. It's nice that we're recording kind of midweek now because I've now heard lots of stories, gotten to talk to people. And just as a side note on the describe a shortcut, Vitici, I've been talking to him all week, and he had been trying to do describe a shortcuts with very long prompts, because typically with other LLMs, you would want to do a very verbose, detailed, complex request. And he was struggling, like the shortcuts would struggle to build those things. But after I heard that, I talked to someone, and they said, actually, just tell it what you want. Like, tell it the end result, and you'll probably get a better shortcut. And sure enough, I actually went back, and one of the things I wasn't sure if it would be able to do was use external APIs and build the get contents of URL in the shortcut and actually get it all right. But I was like, all right, well, let me give it kind of a brief, just tell me what I want. And I asked it, build a shortcut that uses the OpenAI API where I can ask a question and then just show me the result. And that was it. Like, that was the entire prompt. And if you know, or if you've seen my shortcut that does that, there's lots of embedded dictionaries and there's complex like JSON that you have to pull from the API result. And Jason, it did it. And it built the shortcut. It got everything right in the get contents of URL. I asked it a second time to do it with the Anthropic API, and it got that right as well. And so I think I'm even more bullish now after trying it several times. When it comes to super long, like multiple if statements, one of the new features in shortcuts is like else if. So rather than having to embed multiple if statements, you'll be able to do like otherwise if. It remains to be seen like how complex it can get there, but I was impressed. I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
So,
And I was just happy that I got both of the things I wanted.
what were the two things you wanted?
You don't even remember we did this whole long
don't
pre-show.
remember.
There's only two things that one is that developers would have access to the off-device models.
Right.
The developers would be able to use private cloud compute, huge thing, and that they would finally have figured out the app intents so that developers can link into Siri.
Yes.
And both of those things happened. And as
Yes.
somebody with an app in the App Store that was waiting for both of those things to happen, I'm so excited. In fact,
That's right.
I got emails like an hour and a half after the keynote. They're like, "Hey, if you're done with this, could I get on the beta?" And I'm like, "Dude, like I haven't even written an article about this. I haven't changed the app at all. Like I haven't even downloaded Xcode 27 yet. Come on."
I need to find out how to integrate Apple Intelligence into my Coffee Finder app. That all it does is find coffee shops near you. But no, I'm not gonna do that. All right. So let's talk about system improvements. They started the keynote with this. There was the wall of 263, I believe, items. And I'm going to link in the show notes. Basic Apple guy, friend of the show, he actually took the whole wall of text and actually made a bullet-pointed list, numbered list. I actually opened this in one of my meetings this week to be like, let me ask about this. What is this? And so there's 263 total system improvements. And I actually heard from someone inside, like they said Snow Leopard. And so that Snow Leopard update that so many of us have been hoping for, asking for, like this is it. I think even internally, this is something that's how they view it. And from running the beta, like this has been the most stable beta. Like I went through this whole rigmarole, Jason, if you remember, of like doing another partition on my Mac to install the beta. You remember all that?
Oh, yeah. Totally remember that conversation.
Well, last night I said screw it. So I just put it on my main MacBook Air, my main account. I'm using it right now to like do the Riverside and share the screen. And it's great. It's real and it's wonderful. And the system improvements are clear. You know, a lot of them like AirDrop being 80% faster. And not just the transfer speed. We heard that it's going to be like the people showing up in the share sheet when you start AirDrop. That's going to be faster. The actual like reliability of seeing people, like everything has been improved. We talked about Vision Pro, the Wi-Fi speed, Wi-Fi and cellular handoff. So like when you're leaving your house and your iPhone is still like hanging on by a thread to your Wi-Fi and just refuses to let go. All of that is going to get better. The messages sync, where the counter and badge might not be in sync across like your iPhone and your iPad. That's supposed to get better. And I just already feel all those improvements. And so I'm excited they did it. Like they did the thing. They spent a year just doing like all the improvements. And from what I've seen, even on my iPad, I installed the beta on my iPad, my MacBook Air, my iPhone Air, and the Vision Pro. And I've had one app, ShareShot, which I love ShareShot. That app doesn't open right now. That's like the one issue that I've found so far. But everything has been solid. I mean, how has it felt to you?
On the iPhone, I think it's been great. That's the one I've had it on the longest. I did that immediately. And there's a couple of random things. I'm still on the waiting list for the new Siri. I'm
still
getting a little bit. So that means you are obviously not on the waiting list anymore for the new Siri.
Oh, we're going to do Siri in real time right here, Jason. I got my Siri app, and I'm going to screen share it in a second.
If it wasn't bad enough that you just have to sit there and gloat because you're sitting in Apple Park, you're going to also just
Jason,
gloat about the fact
wish.
that you have it.
I wish you were here.
No,
I wish
it's
you were
great.
here.
It's great. I've been there. I got there first. It's
I
all
know.
good.
Wow. Okay. I like how you a little jab in there. That's good.
Anyway,
That's good.
No, but it's been great on the Mac. All the things that they fixed. It's amazing to me how many things that they fixed seemingly in response to feedback, which is a good thing. It does also seem a little bit uncharacteristic from what we've experienced in the past. Not that Apple doesn't listen to its users, but it doesn't. I haven't, other than the Safari couple years ago with the tab bar, like how
Oh,
that
the
all
tab
worked in the
bar.
phone.
Yeah.
Which they walked back before the betas were before they shipped the main
That
version,
is
right?
true. Right.
But we don't typically see that kind of thing. And I mean, even stuff like now the sidebars in macOS Finder,
Right.
they've gone back, like all that stuff. So I'm very happy with it.
They made very clear in several meetings that they listened to users. They even mentioned social media as something that they looked at for feedback, that they listened to developers and users. And so they made it very clear, even at the tech talk, which after the keynote, there was a small group of us that got to go to like another theater, and you probably saw lots of clips and videos of that. It was really interesting because Craig Federighi, he did a lengthy explanation, and we were allowed to record the audio. So I did that. I didn't get a chance to like transcribe and actually, I needed to learn more about the behind the scenes of Siri AI and the LLM. But there were a couple things he made very clear. It was one, like we heard users and feedback, and this is a response to that. And two, Siri AI is not Gemini. Like if there was one thing he was trying to make clear, is he spent 20 minutes with like multiple diagrams on screen talking about how we use Gemini foundation models, but to do something with Apple AI, it's unclear. Like did Apple distill Gemini models? Is it like meshed together somehow? Like it's unclear, to me at least, how the technical side works on that. But he said even during that tech talk, like it's not Gemini. Like when you ask Siri AI something, it is not Gemini. It's not doing that. And even just so much as like we send as little information up to the cloud when you make a request as possible. And so I need to do more data and digging into that. But it was all that to say, very clear that user feedback was listened to. Things like the corner radii. They even said, like, we heard from you about corner radii, and we fixed that. We also got maybe it's an improvement, not a fix, but 4K HomeKit secure video camera recording. That's been amazing.
I texted you as soon. I was like, did they just say the thing you've been asking for?
I think it's been like 6 years. It's been 6 years that we finally got it. We didn't get pan and tilt controls in the home app, but one step at a time. We don't want to move too fast.
Baby steps.
Baby steps. But I'm excited for the improvements there across the platforms. And before we get to some of like the hidden agent stuff, a lot of people have been posting on social media about hints in the new betas about foldable rumors. The rumors that the iPhone Fold is going to come this year. And there's two pretty distinct things. One, an iPhone app on the iPad. If you install an app on the iPad and it just has an iPhone version, there's no more like the 1x, 2x, you just blow up the iPhone app. You can actually reformat the app onto the iPad screen, which is wild. And then for iPhone mirroring, this is even more crazy. If you iPhone mirror in the iOS 27 betas from your iPhone to your Mac, you can now expand that iPhone mirroring window, and the app will format larger. Like whatever app you're looking at, it will format like a mini tablet, and it's like, all right, we all see what you're doing here, guys. I mean, do you think? I mean, this year? I mean, you think so?
That's what the rumors are. I gotta be careful because I don't want the bouncers to come and.
Oh, that's very true. Yeah,
but I think that it would make sense that you would start incorporating those features now if what you are going to do is release it this fall, right? It doesn't make sense to have those features incorporated if you're not going to release it until next year.
And there's even developer tools. I forget what the app is called, but where you can like preview your app and all the different devices in this one window thing, and it does the same thing, expand the window. But before we get to Siri AI, so I feel like hidden agents are an interesting point here. I mentioned it before, but like the create an extension in Safari. But there's also this amazing feature. I signed up for changedetection.io and set up an elaborate like push cut automation to do what Apple released as a feature this week, which is notify me in Safari, where if you're on a web page like of the unified travel router, which I'm going to talk about for like 2 minutes at the end of this episode because I love it and it's amazing. But if you want to be notified when it's back in stock, it's now just a built-in feature. You tap the extension area in Safari in the address bar. You can say notify me, tell it the change you want to be notified. This could be for price drops or changes, for out of stock notifications, and then you'll get a notification. It can check hourly, I believe, or daily. I'm sorry, I think it checks daily. So it can't be like every 30 minutes, look at this price if it's like a really in-demand item. But you can do the notify me. And someone asked, it even works if Safari is closed. Mm-hmm. So it's unclear, like, is that living in the cloud? Like, how is that notification working? But it doesn't sync to your other devices. So if you set up a notify me in Safari on your iPhone, you won't get the notification on your Mac. It is kind of locked to the device, which is interesting. But that feels like an agent, like working on your behalf. The passwords that I talked about, where the passwords app will just go out and fix your passwords navigate those websites behind the scenes without you even having to go to it. That feels wild. And a lot of the image tools feels not agentic, but you just see more and more of the generative thing, which there were mixed emotions about that, I feel like, when the photo stuff came up. You know, we've had cleanup since Apple Intelligence launched 2 years ago, but now we have the extend for a photo and even the reframing. And I've messed around with that. I met Canupsi for the first time. He was here, great YouTube channel. I followed him for years. And so we were playing around with the perspective thing. And, you know, it's generating stuff. Like if you change the perspective on an image and there was something in the background and more of it needs to be seen, like a plant, it's going to generate more plant. And so this is generative fill or generative AI. And I asked a question in one of the meetings and I said, like, when I changed the perspective, one of the things they said, you can, like the eyes, if someone wasn't looking into the camera, you can change the perspective slightly and have the subject looking into the lens. And I was like, well, okay. If you do that, are you like generating eyes? Like, are you generating pixels so it's looking at the camera? And the answer was very, well, we're really pixels. Basically like pixels and stuff, and they're moving. And it's not, you know, they didn't want to say it was like generating it out of whole cloth. So it's an interesting line I think they're trying to distance themselves from like Google and Samsung, which is like put a hot air balloon behind me in this picture and making adjustments versus creation. But anyway, I just said a lot of things, but give me your thoughts.
So I played around with this. I took a photo that I took when I was in Montreal in the pit. Whoops, hold on. Let me see if I can. So this is the original picture, and then this was the new one, which is funny because there's a bicycle in front of the Ferrari garage, which is not there.
Okay.
There's no bicycle there.
Really?
But it's like, so this is the original one, and then it goes to the new one. So like it knew the pit lane thing, so it fixed that. Right. So, and then it just generated all this stuff over there, which was clearly not there because that's the Ferrari garage. There's a car in there, and it put like a bicycle there. But that's interesting. But the point is, it did everything it put in there looks pretty decent. It just didn't know that. Like the reason I picked this photo is I'm like, is it going to draw from the context of where I'm at and figure out what should be there? Or is it only looking at the pixels right next to it and going, just extend this, right? And it seems like it did the latter.
Well, I'm going to do something probably ill-advised and try to do an extend picture live here on the show. So okay. I also got to meet Bridget Carey from CNET, who's awesome. And for this one, when I first did extend, I did this the other day, and it like gave us more arms and torso. So I'm curious what it's going to do here.
Well, and to be clear, mine was actually a reframe, but if you reframe a photo, it has to do extend as well because you are like distorting the viewpoint, and then to make it a square photo, it has to fill that in somehow.
Right. And so let me adjust the crop here and extend this. The few times I've done it, like it's been genuinely impressive, like what it's doing, how well it will, like the Canupsi photo I took. The plant that was behind him got generated as like a full plant, and it was really good. And in the original, you could only see like a couple leaves. But it's interesting, you know, how far you'll be able to push this. We'll have to do more testing over the summer. Like, how much can I generate from a thing? And you can always bring these photos into image playgrounds and add stuff. But as you can see here, now I can't remember if that guy was in the. Was that guy in the original image? I'm not sure.
If you click on it, doesn't it?
For the extend one, I'm gonna reset the extend so we can see the original. But you can see like Bridget's arm got longer, and it added more arm for me. Like so, I'm like holding the camera farther away. And if I go back, you know, you can see that wasn't. I don't think that guy was there.
No, I don't think so.
It definitely
Unless they know something you don't know.
Now wait a minute. So it's interesting, and I saw people on social media, you know, saying this is like AI slop and stuff. You tell me, Jason. I personally don't put this in the same category as like in one of the briefings, Draw Things was like creating a video of a polar bear or some bear like talking. I'm like, okay, that's generative AI. If you want to put something in an AI slop category, like that's that. I don't put this in the AI slop category personally, but I understand it's like a fine distinction. But
I don't think that's a fine distinction. I don't think this is slop.
Right.
Because I think AI slop, you know me, I'm a word person. I get very fixated on the exact definition. But I think what people mean by AI slop is a thing that's not real at all, that only exists for the purpose of shoving content in our faces. It's just like, It's the content version of all of the alphabet soup products you find on Amazon. Remember when we had these conversations about like, is this product even real? It's just a bunch of gibberish words and a bunch of AI generated photos. That's slop. This is, you can still have feelings about whether we should be doing this or not doing this or whatever. But what's essentially happening is like, you can already do this in Photoshop. You can pull up an image in Photoshop and use generative fill and be like, do this to the photo.
Right.
I don't know, like as a photographer, I mean, I did the test to see what would happen. Yeah. I don't think that this is I always have a problem, Stephen, when we give people a solution that makes it easier for them to just do a dumb thing in the first place, which is like, well, just look at your photo before you take it. Are you like, there are some scenarios where you're in a rush and you want to fix something later, but also just take a beat, think a little bit more about the photo and take it.
Well, a counterpoint to that, I did not have a beat when I was trying to take a selfie with John Turnus, but I'm also not going to open that picture right now in Apple Park and try to extend it. I feel like then I might get rushed.
But also that's the most important photo you've ever taken of yourself, Stephen. So I feel like it was worth making sure you get it right.
It might have been my last opportunity. You know, you never know if it's your last opportunity.
And though that photo, if you were to extend it or reframe it or whatever, it wouldn't have the same meaning to you.
True, but maybe I can change the perspective so he's actually looking at the camera. You know what I mean? Instead of the screen. But anyway,
eyes are the hardest thing for AI to get right. So
they're hard. All right, let's talk about Siri AI. So in the tech talk after the keynote, Mike Rockwell was there along with Craig Federighi and others. And what was impressive, it was live demos on stage. And I think it was a warm-up or maybe like practice run for maybe doing more of this, because we'll talk about the demos that were during the keynote, which you wrote a great piece about. I'll put in the show notes. But to see the demo on stage, so that tech talk, I mean, Mike Rockwell was making requests in real time. We saw the iPhone on the screen, and it was just doing stuff. Like he was making requests, asking it to do personal context stuff. And I think the bottom line is like they did it. Like they fixed the thing. All the promises from 2 years ago about personal context, being able to ask what time I need to leave to pick up my mom from the airport and be able to get to my kids' thing in time, it all works. I have some wild examples I'm going to share in a second with the Siri app personally. But you wrote the article, Watching It Wait, as far as those requests in the actual keynote video. Tell me about that.
This episode is brought to you by CleanMyMac. I'm on my M4 MacBook Air right now at WWDC, and I'm running CleanMyMac right now as it goes. It's always in the menu bar, running in the background, making sure that my Mac has the most storage, that I'm clutter-free. If I ever need to manage anything, CleanMyMac is there for me. One of my favorite features is the new Space Lens. You can actually see your storage the way your Mac sees it. Gives you a visual map of your drive, highlights the heaviest folders, and helps you clear space without digging through endless directories. Plus, it's going to help you clear that clutter, free up that space, and it can even help you do cloud cleanup. So cloud cleanup features connects to your accounts, either iCloud Drive, OneDrive, Google Drive, or Dropbox. It scans the cloud to find those large space wasters and those synced and unsynced files, both in cloud storage, and will help free those up. And CleanMyMac will even help you get some of those large attachments and free up that space in Messages. That's usually a sneaky place where a lot of storage is taken up on your Mac. They're in the Messages, someone sent you a really long video, or you've been texting videos back and forth. A lot of times that space is taken up there in the Messages, and CleanMyMac can help you find it. When I use my MacBook Air as kind of like a test device, and I install a lot of things, and then I delete a lot of things, and I never know, is something left behind? Do I know if it's actually clean? And that's why I use CleanMyMac, so I can be sure that when I uninstall an app, want to delete something, or just clean up all the files and folders, CleanMyMac can do it. So get tidy today. You can try 7 days for free, and then use our code PrimaryTech, all in one word, for 20% off at clnmy.com/primarytech. That's 20% off with promo code PrimaryTech, all one word, at clnmy.com/primarytech, and that link is in the show notes as well. Thanks to CleanMyMac for sponsoring this episode, and our friends at Keeper Passwords. Listen, there were some updates to iCloud Passwords in the Passwords app from the keynote, but it's still lacking a lot of features from a robust and really secure password app, and that's what Keeper is for. So I'm just going to tell you one of my favorite features right off the bat, because I still need a place to keep things like secure numbers, account numbers, travel, all those things like travel, loyalty rewards. You can use all of that and put them all in Keeper. When you create a new record in the Keeper app, You can create a login, but you can also add payment cards, so like your credit card information. You can do bank account, address, even file attachment, your driver's license, your passport. These are all the things I like keeping in a password app, and Keeper can do it for you. Keeper is a password manager that creates long, strong, unique passwords for all your accounts, stores them securely in one place, and logs you in automatically across all your devices so you never have to remember, guess, or worry about your login credentials again. So you can save all the kind of data that I mentioned before, your health insurance cards, membership, even birth certificates. I really do put all of that in one place so I can always access it whenever I need. So we can do all of that, plus be your secure password manager. You can use pass keys, and security features like autofill and Face ID or fingerprint login, like those passkeys, quietly make it easier. So best-in-class protection doesn't feel like extra work. It just happens in the background. So from individuals to large organizations, millions of people worldwide rely on Keeper to keep passwords organized and accounts protected. So right now, Keeper is offering our listeners 60% off personal and family plans at keepersecurity.com/primary. This offer is only for podcast listeners. That's keepersecurity.com/primary for 60% off personal and family plans. Make sure you use our link so they know we sent you. The link is down in the show notes too. keepersecurity.com/primary. Thanks to Keeper for sponsoring this episode. And finally, our friends at NordLayer, one of the best landing pages for this podcast. I love how they put our art on there. But NordLayer is a network security platform for modern teams across different work environments. It enables secure access to company systems with centralized control over users, devices, and network activity without additional hardware or complex infrastructure. Teams get fast, encrypted connectivity with full visibility across the entire network environment. So who's it for? It's for business owners. Protect company data, stay compliant without slowing down operations, and it's for IT admins. Grant access based on identity, device, and context. Monitor user activity and device health all in one place. And it's for cybersecurity conscious listeners. So block malware, phishing, and risky domains, detect unusual activity across users and devices, and enforce security policies automatically. Every connection is encrypted, you get high-speed performance, and dedicated secure gateways for traffic routing. Plus, users are verified by single sign-on, plus MFA, cloud firewall enforcement, and a ton more. Then for compliance support, access logs and activity monitoring, encrypted traffic across all connections, and like I said, device security policy enforcement. So here's what you do. You can get an exclusive offer up to 22% off NordLayer yearly plans plus 10% on top with coupon code PrimaryTechnology10. That's all one word, Primary Technology and the number 10. Try it risk-free, 14-day money-back guarantee. You can go to nordlayer.com/primarytechnology and use our promo code PrimaryTechnology10 for 10% on top off the yearly plans. Our thanks to NordLayer for sponsoring this episode.
Yeah, I just think it was really important for them to communicate that this is as real as possible, right?
Yeah.
And I think that by the temptation is when you're going through a demo. Oh, imagine first of all how short the demo would have been. You already told us, like there was a time advantage. They filled some time, but I think what they were trying to do is establish credibility, and that the messiness of the process. Not that the process was broken, but just like we all know that this sort of thing takes time. And so if it didn't take time in the demo, you're over-promising again. And so I just think that by giving it the time, letting us watch it let us see it, was the next best thing to actually doing those demos live in person, right? And I actually think it was really smart the way they had the split screen so that it was very clear that you were watching a person talk to you and then you were seeing the phone in their hand. And actually, it had to have been so hard to hold the phones at that awkward angle so that the camera that was over their shoulder could get it. Like that must have been torture to do this. But I think that was the smartest thing about the entire keynote was if we're going to demo this, the thing they knew that was true was that they made a lot of promises 2 years ago, many of which they couldn't deliver on. And so they needed to not overpromise. And the way that you communicate that you're not overpromising is you just show your work and let people watch it.
Show your work is great. And during we had opportunities to like capture content on camera as like content creators, basically of people at Apple doing Siri AI, and we could film it. And just to the angle of having to hold the phone, I have so much video of someone's wrist like cocked at like an 80-degree angle, trying to get, no reflections, try to make sure nothing weird is in the background, and also you can film it while they talk to it. It's kudos to all the people who were doing those briefings and like
They're all
holding
going to
phones
need
and,
physical therapy now.
Everyone has carpal tunnel. Everyone has RSI. But one thing that was rumored and we did get was the dedicated Siri app. And I've been playing around with this. We debated a little bit before all this keynote stuff about does it need a dedicated app or whatever. I am 100% glad it is here. One, because now I can go back and show you all. And I know I'm talking about a lot of visuals this week. I apologize. Go watch in Apple Podcast, Spotify, or YouTube just to see some of these visuals live as we do it. I'll link my YouTube videos in the show notes to watch. But I can go back to my very first request of Siri AI, which was how many R's are in the word strawberry. Jason got it right. It nailed it. It nailed how many R's are in the word strawberry. And I also asked it, I guess this one wasn't saved, but I asked it the car wash question. Oh, no, I pinned it up here. You can pin conversations in the Siri AI app. And I said, I have to wash my car. Should I either walk to the car wash or take my car? And this was a meme where a lot of other AI apps were like, well, if it's a nice day, you should walk. And it's like, the point is the car wash. And the AIs would miss that whole point. To Siri AI's credit, you should definitely take your car. Walking to the car wash wouldn't be very helpful if your goal is to wash the vehicle. Siri's got a little sarcasm. I kind of like that.
Let's be honest. This is the most famous gaffe of the ChatGPT era. There's no way someone's job was not to be like, we have to get
You think someone like
right.
hard coded this response? It's just like
I bet you every single one of them has this now hard coded.
That's probably true. But the Siri app is great. And one of the things, I think the promise of 2 years ago, personal context. I was at the live talk show last night. John Gruber, his guests were Joanna Stern and Nilay again. And Joanna was talking about, she used personal context several times, real world scenarios already, because she just asked her iPhone, what time did John tell me I needed to be there tonight? Not very much context in the request, and it still nailed her, got the answer right. It got the answer right. And so I just got off the wait list yesterday, so I haven't had that long to test it out. But I did want to show a couple examples. One, my son texted me the other day. He had a job interview, and I wanted to know how it went. Now, for context, I have 2 sons. I have 3 kids. And the only thing that I asked Siri AI, my full request was, what did my son say about his job interview? And after a couple seconds, personal context came through, and Siri said, your son Jordan. So it actually named the son. I didn't specify which son it was. Said his interview at the new dance studio went well, and it sounds like he might have the job. He also mentioned that he was invited to teach a masterclass there after his July trip. Congratulations, Jordan, by the way, because that's awesome. I was really happy for him. But it did it. Like, it pulled it up. I asked the general question, and it got a right answer. And then one other personal request, I asked, when did Andrew say he was arriving at WWDC? Again, no last name, no further context. I was talking about Andrew Clare. I got to spend a lot of time with him this week. He helped me film some videos, great YouTube channel. And it said he mentioned he was planning to arrive early on WWDC Friday night so he could spend Saturday exploring San Francisco. He also noted that he needed to be back for work on Wednesday evening. It's doing the things. And what was wild too is when, at least here on the betas, this probably won't be the case once this is public, but when you do a request, there's like a thumbs up, thumbs down. And you can give feedback on how well it did with the request and not. And what's interesting is if you choose to share that feedback with Apple in the beta, it will show you all the things it indexed for that request. Mm-hmm. And so I did it for that text about my son's Jordan and his job. And it said, here's the Siri response, the on-screen. Here's the diagnostics, 20 mail messages. And I redacted something because, Jason, this thing went back far. Like, I saw some email subjects and I was like, that was like a decade ago. But it pulled messages, text messages, mail, reminders, notes, reading list items from Safari. And it's just so clear that it's doing the personal context thoroughly, fully. And one of the reasons why, if you update to the beta, and this will be the case when everyone gets it this fall, it's going to take days to index. I mean, I've had people update it to the beta on Monday, and it's still indexing now on Wednesday. Like, it's going to index. And the reason why it's taking so long, too, is it has to do it on every device, because just like in the past, Apple is preserving privacy and security. And so it's not going to index on your iPhone and then send that information index up to the cloud and then back down to your iPad. Your iPad has to index it, your Apple Vision Pro has to index it, your iPhone has to index it, and that's time consuming and intensive for your local device, but that's that privacy and security that's built in, and something that agents like Claude and OpenAI can't say. They're like your information. The reason why Claude on your iPhone knows just about you about Claude on your Mac is because all your stuff is in Anthropic servers. It's in that data center in Tennessee or whatever. Like, it's just there. But it's impressive. Like, it's doing the things.
Yeah, and as someone who has been working on this sort of a feature in an app, like that, the hardest part is figuring out what is the information, what is the scope of information that needs to get fed into this in order to find, like, what are the sources, parsing through that in order to deliver a response. And the challenge in the past has just been because Apple Intelligence will do that. I can tell you, like right now, Apple Intelligence itself is capable. It's just that the context window was so small that it was impossible for it to shove enough information into that and to get all that. But now what they're able to do is they can just literally take all of your information, and with the semantic index, it only has to look at it can quickly triage what's the relevant information. Going back infinity, right? Like it's anything that's been indexed is just there. Yeah, and then it'll just give you that. And I do really like the fact that it also then gives you the source that it used to give you the information.
Yes. Now, the big thing is, one thing it couldn't see right now were my Bear notes. And my 5,000 plus Bear notes is where I've kept a lot of my knowledge and thoughts for the last however many years. And so that's something hopefully over the summer app developers adopt quickly. We'll see if things, apps like Spark, Fastmail, Bear, Things, all those apps, I think they'll get on board. How quickly will Microsoft's Outlook allow its content to be indexed by Siri AI? The Gmail app, your YouTube app. I don't think YouTube's going to do it. And one of the things Neil said at the talk show last night, like, there's no way Meta is going to plug in your Instagram DMs to be indexed by Apple. Not that it would really hurt Meta at all, but I think just out of spite, just Zuckerberg.
They don't want to share that. They want you looking at your DMs in Instagram. But I can tell you right now, I will be connecting contextually to this immediately.
I will not be connecting Coffee Finder to Siri AI, but contextually,
totally fine.
You should check that out. Just a preference question for you. I'm curious. Now that Siri AI is a thing, which I think is just wild that there's like AI in the name of an Apple product, but the Spotlight on Mac, on iPhone, on all the devices, it's now Spotlight and Siri. There's no separation. So when you do Command Space on your Mac, it is both. And as you start typing a request, if it's a longer request, it's basically just going to kick you over to Siri AI. If it's short, like launching an app, it should do that pretty intuitively. And on the Mac, you can still do like Command Space 4, it gets your clipboard manager. It's just this newer kind of interface. From the last couple of days I've been using it on my Mac and my other devices, it's okay. I'm not sure if I prefer it. Like sometimes I almost wish like just give me Spotlight because I'm like trying to launch an app or I'm looking for a file and folder. And there are ways to do that, like in Spotlight, you can, or in Siri AI now in macOS 27, like I could do Command Space, type in PIXL and hit Tab, and that will start searching for Pixelmator documents, and it should like bypass the Siri AI. So maybe it's going to be great, but I'm not sure how I feel about all of that being in one. Have you had any time to kind of play around with that?
No, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's like, I think it is the kind of thing where we're going to have to spend some time figuring it out. And I'm going to, for now, trust that the people who made it spent a lot of time trying to figure it out. And I think that this is a very new, a new paradigm for us, because in the past, I mean, most of us had just gotten used to the fact that Siri was the thing we used to set timers and reminders. Like that was it, right?
That's true.
Now it's sort of the gateway to something much more powerful, and it's going to take some time to figure out how are we going to shift the way we use it, because I don't think people are going to just stop using Claude either. That's the other thing. Like I'm not deleting the Claude app off my phone.
Well, and another point is Siri AI on the Mac, there were demos in the keynote and several that we got in briefings that were really impressive. Siri AI on the Mac can do some wild things, like give it 3 PDFs of whatever and ask it to like give me a comparison table on these 3 products, let's say, or give me a summary of what all these things are about. I was experimenting with that last night, And one, I actually had to drag a PDF into the Siri AI Mac app. I couldn't just tell it, get this PDF in Finder. Maybe that's something that gets updated over time. But to your point of like, I'm still going to use the Claude app, one of the use cases that everybody shows off in all the Claude and OpenAI tasks like co-work is renaming files. And so I was like, can Siri AI do that? And so one of the things you can do in macOS 27 is select files, and when you right-click or two-finger click, there's the Ask Siri option right at the top. So you can ask Siri about the files that you have selected, which is cool. So I said, rename these files. And they said, what would you like to rename these files to? This is my Siri conversation. I say, rename based on the contents of the image or file. And sure enough, it took the 4 screenshot files that I had selected and suggested names based on the content. So it has like startup disk settings, Shortcuts University, Apple, so it came up with names based on the content. So we could do that. It said, would you like me to apply these names? I said, yes. It said, sorry, I can't do that. And I was like, so Siri, you did it. Like you already have the names. So it does not seem like right now, we'll have to see over the summer, that the Siri AI on the Mac is not going to be like Claude Cowork. It is going to be like Claude Cowork Lite, like Lite, and like do some things maybe, but not going to be able to take the amount of agentic action on your Mac that people might be used to.
Sure.
All right, side note, because I want to get to parental controls. None of these stuff, the Siri AI is not coming to the EU because of the DMA, and it's not coming to China. And Craig even said in the keynote, like, we're working. And one of the things Nilay said at the talk show last night is apparently Apple went to the EU and was like, listen, we will build this thing. They're like, we don't typically talk about things we're going to build, but we will spend, it's going to take us 18 months. We will spend 18 months building this intermediary for agents on the Apple devices where third parties can interact with personal context in a safe way, only giving the information that is necessary. Like, we will build this if you will approve it so these features can launch in the EU. We just want to know that you'll approve it because we don't want to spend 18 months building it and then you deny it. And apparently the EU was like, I don't know. And so I was like, well, okay. So who knows? Who knows if it will come to the EU or to China, if or when. And it's English only this fall right now. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. All right. Parental controls, Jason. You and I use everything in screen time, all the parental control settings. One of the things that was clear yesterday in a briefing was, like a couple of years ago, there was like a brand new home architecture where you have to like update all your home devices and then like go to the new home architecture. That's actually how these new screen time settings work. Come iOS 27, you'll have to make sure all your kids' devices are updated to iOS 27 and yours, and then there'll be an option to upgrade to the new screen time architecture. So this is not just, design changes and feature additions. This is a reworking of everything behind the scenes, and that is why one of the promises is this is going to be more reliable. Screen time requests shouldn't just break, like being able to just access websites or whatever. So that's interesting and not something we'll be able to test over the summer. Like, I'm not going to put all my kids' devices on iOS 27, so we'll see. But aside from that, there was a lot of rebranding of current features. And there were a lot of times when I was hearing like kids will be able to ask to, a new contact be added to their thing. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's a feature now. Like a lot of the new features.
100%.
And it seems like Apple is relaunching this because it's been dormant for so long. Like, one of my ongoing jokes is my first 3 YouTube videos were about screen time. It's 6 years ago that I published those videos, and I haven't had to update them since because everything has been exactly the same. Like, every screen time setting, every menu has not changed since I made those videos 6 years ago. Now I will update it because it is going to be very different, but it is a lot of rebranding of features, but then also some new things like time allowances in addition to downtime, which are welcome additions. But Jason, requests are still in messages, and that kind of stinks.
Yeah, that's the worst thing. Like, I don't, that's the one thing everyone wants to do. Like, I don't want the text history with my child to just be full of these requests. And
that's all it is.
Like, that doesn't make any sense. I understand that from a software engineer who doesn't deal with this every day, it makes sense, but it does not make any sense.
Don't do it.
Like, if I open up the text, like, and especially because like there are many times where for example, our oldest, she'll send us a message that she's made it somewhere, or our other daughter, like, she'll send it to both my wife and I.
Right.
And then also, there's a bunch of just, can I have this contact in my thing? Or can I have more time for this? Or can I do this? Or can I download this app? And it's like, I don't want any of that in the conversations that I'm having with my kid. I want those in a dedicated place where I go when I want to deal with the screen time stuff. So I feel like that is such an easy thing to conceptually fix. And I don't quite understand. It is an example of one of those things where it really does feel like the people who made this are not having to use it every day, because it does feel very like, yeah, this makes sense to an engineer. Wouldn't it be super convenient if you just got a text message and we just put it right there? And I'm like, yeah, but then when you go back to those messages, it's just a bunch of garbage.
Well, and I still feel like there's so much in the screen time settings. We didn't get it. Like, we got a Siri AI app before screen time app and before GTA 6. But a dedicated screen time app, I feel like, would solve a lot of the issues. Like, let notifications come through there, put all the options in there. But we didn't get that. We got a website that talks about the features. So there's that.
But also, Stephen, here's the thing. When your kid uses when the screen time password is entered on a device, you get a notification. You don't get a text message.
That is true. Oh, that is
so
true.
Why in the world, when they want to do something, is it not just a notification? But I don't understand.
I bet you it's because how it used to be is those notifications lived in like settings, screen time, or whatever, and years past, parents probably didn't know where those were. Like, if you didn't do it from the notifications, like, well, where do I go to get it?
More importantly, people don't have notifications on for settings, but everyone has notifications on for messages, and so you get them. But I just feel like there's got to be a better solution, Stephen. And let me ask you this: what was your sense from not from Apple people, but from everyone else? Because I have a theory about this. Why did they spend so much time talking about screen time?
So this was something Neil I also talked about yesterday, was regulatory pressure. Like, age verification laws are being passed right now in certain states, like Texas requires age verification. And so it seems like maybe Apple is trying to get ahead of some of that regulatory pressure and putting these tools that maybe, circumvent some of these age verification things, like not make every app send you the driver's license to verify the age. Maybe it's that. And I do think it is a need. I think more and more parents, like, I've seen a lot of parents will ask me of my kids' friends, like, how do I manage this? Like, I've literally walked people through adding screen time, and even just creating a child account. Like, that is one of the big new things in this redesigned screen time, is the onboarding process for a child and creating a child account. Like, that was confusing before. And if you didn't start as a child account, it was very difficult to, like, make an iCloud account. I don't even think it was possible. Like, if you created an iCloud account for your kid before, you were up a creek. Like, you would have to create another one for it to be a child account. Well, now you can convert those. And so I do think maybe it's just hearing from a lot of that. And I mean, it's huge in the news. I mean, if you open the news app and look at, like, psychology stuff, 80% of them are like kids and AI, kids and social media. And there's just a lot of that in the air. So maybe it's that. But do you have a theory? Like, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious. They just told everyone they baked AI into everything. And in order for parents to have any confidence handing this thing to their kids, they need to be able to know that they can control how things are being used. And I got a little bit of pushback, like, well, they didn't really tie that to the AI stuff. I'm like, no, you don't need to. But they talked about it first. They basically said, this is the safest device you can give your kid, because, look, we will give you control over these things.
That's true.
It's yet to see how. I mean, they've been saying that for a while, so we'll see if it's more effective. We're even going to give you guidelines about how some of these things should be used. And then the next thing they talked about is, and by the way, look, there's image generation. Look, there's all these different things. There's photorealistic image generation. Like, I took a picture of my wife, and 2 different pictures, one of myself, one of my wife. And I was like, make a photo of these 2 people sitting at a cafe in France on their first date, and it just did it. Like, she didn't have any say in that. I mean, my wife's fine with it. Like, I'm pretty sure it's fine. But, like, she didn't get to, like, opt into that, right? And so I think that in order for, once parents start to understand that you can have these kind of conversations, you can do this. And even though I think Apple's implementation is as responsible as any of the tech companies at this point, as far as we can tell, that doesn't matter, because what people just hear are the endless number of stories of what these AI tools are capable of. And I feel like if you're going to hand your kid a phone that can do all that, you want to know that you're going to have some control.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Because they called the section trust and safety. So,
Right. It was trust and safety. It wasn't like child safety. It was trust and
No,
safety.
it was
which
that. And, but the
interesting.
big section
Yeah.
in there was parental controls.
Right. And one feature that I'll shout out, though, you'll be able to temporarily open everything for your kids. Like if you're on a road trip or you're traveling and you just want to let them have unlimited like screen time rather than having to mess with downtime or deal with like approvals during the entire road trip. I'm speaking from experience because I've had to deal with this many times.
It's the worst.
It's the worst. You'll be able to just tap a thing and say unlimited access for today. And that's a very welcome feature. One of the questions I have, I hope to get answered, is when a child asks for more screen time, right now the options are 15 minutes, an hour, or all day. I'm hoping there's additional options there, but I'm not sure. So
Well, here's the, I don't know, I haven't looked, but here's the optimistic take. Didn't they just make some adjustments to the reminder snooze capability?
Oh, did they?
I think so. Wasn't Marco talking about that? I
Oh,
don't know.
yeah. Oh, they
So-
in iOS 26.5, yes. there
Yeah.
was some
So
adjustments.
maybe we'll get some better options. I wanted to just be like, how long do you want to extend this for? Just
That
custom
would be
amount,
nice.
25
Yes.
minutes, 7 minutes,
Yes.
90 minutes, whatever.
3 hours and 7 minutes.
Until we
exactly.
get to Alaska. Just, I don't want to be bothered again.
All right. Quick lightning round. We talked about Vision OS features. Panoramic environments is awesome. Preview notifications just by looking at them. Apple TV, notably Apple TV and HomePod, nothing. Silence. Even on the page on Apple's website where you can like click the different OSs, tvOS is not even highlighted. Like it doesn't even have a page to see like what's new. But Apple TV is getting a new Apple Podcast app that will have video. And I did a little short on this. The podcast app in iOS 27 chapters are coming back for video shows and follow-along transcripts and time links. A small golf clap. Thank you.
I would clap louder, but my microphone's right here.
Oh, no, your microphone's there. I'm imagining everyone in the room is clapping. But anyway, so that's coming back. That is a very welcome feature. And macOS podcast app will have video as well. But other things we did not get, and I did ask about this, HomePod is not going to have Siri AI. So you're not going to be able to do any of the requests of Siri AI, even like real-world requests. You'll not be able to do that with a HomePod, unfortunate. Again, no HomePod with screen, no hardware this year, like zero hardware announcements at the keynote. And also no Claude integration. You know, one of the rumors was like, you know, ChatGPT is still in there in the settings. And the settings are now weird. Like Apple Intelligence used to be a settings pane, and now it's just Siri. And inside the Siri pane, like way at the bottom, it's like shadowed off. The text is kind of blurry. It says log in with ChatGPT. Like, it's like, I'm just kidding. It's not really all like that. But it's very much like pushed to the side, and it's clear. I think Apple is not wanting to push on that like third-party integration thing. And so Anthropic's not an option. And the ChatGPT thing is like, I guess if you want to do that, but it's not pushed at all.
Can I say one thing that I thought was very cool? Because Stephen, I'm on the record. I've said this many times.
Yes.
That the single best device for AI is what?
The Apple Watch.
Yes, and what can you now do?
Siri AI on the watch.
Well, and you can also build apps that have access to private cloud compute.
I missed that, and that is amazing.
I'm almost positive that that's true. There was like a screenshot where they said, where did I see it? Hold on. You keep talking. I'll find it. But
All
yes, you can do that. You can send requests from your watch now. And I believe that they can take advantage of private cloud compute because the watch can't load all those models.
That's amazing. All right. We only have a few minutes. I want to record a quick bonus episode about my John Turner selfie, but personal tech. I finally got to use my Ubiquiti travel router in the hotel room. I just have to say, it is amazing. I plugged it in. It's my home network. So plugging it into the Ethernet in the hotel room, all my Apple devices are just immediately connected to the Wi-Fi. Have not dealt or seen a captive window for the hotel. Like put your room number in. I have not had to deal with that all week. The speed is great. Yes, it's only Wi-Fi 5, but it's still great. And the unified teleport feature is like a built-in VPN. So I can turn that on the router, and then all my devices will appear as though they're on my home network. I can access my network attached storage, screen sharing. Like, it is amazing. And the speeds are great. Like I'm getting 100, the hotel connection is 100 megabits up and down, which, you know, it's a little slower than my home 7 gig internet, but you know, what can you do? But I'm getting like 90 something on the Wi-Fi. I've been able to upload YouTube videos. It's been great. I cannot say enough good things about it. Unfortunately, out of stock right now. And if you look on Amazon, there's like a grifter, like double the price for the unified travel router. But if you travel at all often, like Jason, you should get one of these. It's amazing.
Really? How much am I going to have to spend?
It's $75.
Okay.
75 bucks.
Right.
And it's got 2 Ethernet ports. So like when I record Mac Power users later in my hotel room, I'm going to connect my MacBook Air via Ethernet. So
I
there you
don't
go.
even have 2 Ethernet cables, but I could probably buy those. That's pretty easy.
Can I tell you real quick? I think I killed one of the USB-C ports on my MacBook Air because whenever I plug something into it, nothing happens. My SSD, I can't even charge from it. And I think it's because I filmed a stupid pool robot vacuum sponsored video, and I used my iPhone to film underwater because I had to get underwater shots. And before I let it dry all the way, I tried connecting a USB-C cable from my iPhone to my Mac to like transfer video. And then it didn't work. And so I flipped the cable around, used a couple cables, and I think I killed that one port with some water damage. So that's unfortunate.
I just want to be clear. I was right. I did find it. I was watching a session. Listen, this is the session I cared about, which was build with the new Apple Foundation model on private cloud compute. And the watch is included in there. So
I just want to, we should put that as a pull quote. I just want to stay for the record. I am right. Or whatever you just said. That was pretty
I think I text Steven all the time and I'm like, I think I'm right. And you're like, I know you do.
Yeah.
I know you
Exactly.
think you're right.
Exactly.
All right.
We didn't get to talk a lot about shortcuts in the main episode, but I did a whole video on it. I have I think 18 videos on the channel from this week. So we'll put some of those. We'll put Jason's article. And we're going to go record a bonus episode because I got to take a selfie with Apple's forthcoming CEO. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.